You are about to make the biggest financial decision of your life. And you know what?
You were lied to.
Oh my gosh. Today, this is Alan.
And Betsy.
Coming to you from coastal Virginia. And we are going to talk about something that has really gotten on my nerves lately. But first.
And definitely on my nerves.
You might notice I've got my camouflaged hat on. It's because I'm probably going to be a target. But first.
And definitely on my nerves.
You might notice I've got my camouflaged hat on. It's because I'm probably going to be a target from some agents out there in the marketplace because they are going to feel it strong when I talk about this. And so real estate, we have certain things. You know, we have what we call fluffing. Fluffing in advertising is when you say the most beautiful view there is. It could be a power line over here, but they didn't say that. But, you know, fluffing happens all the time, and fluffing is part of it. It's okay. However, I have seen advertising from real estate agents totally get out of control lately.
Oh, my God.
And
that is an understatement.
A couple of them that are really getting on my nerves. And so we're just going to throw them out there because as a consumer, you need to know. Now, I know some people out there, some agents for sure, and maybe even some consumers are going to say, hey, let everybody do their own thing. Why are you even caring? Why do you bother? Let them do their thing. Here is why. Because it is damaging consumers and it is a terrible look for our industry. And I think it is just part of the downfall of our industry is the brokers are allowing this to happen over and over and over. One thing, I've got a business coach, we've got a business coach, and they've told us, you know, the reason that you stay small and stay elite and stay the size you are is because you have standards. And I hold people to those standards. And what we're seeing out there is the industry, it's a tough industry. And especially as a broker, it's a tough industry. They've gotten in to where they will take any agent that will fog a mirror, pass the test, fog a mirror, and they will bring them in the door and not hold anybody to a standard. So one of the first things I'm going to talk about is our team. We have a great team. This is our team. We can tell you who they are, what they do on the team. Everybody has a function that allows us to be the most efficient and the most productive and the most service-oriented that we can be. But here's what's going on in our industry. Teams are actually growing and doing a better job of service and quality than individual agents. Because our business has gotten to the point, there are so many things, it is impossible to do everything. Let's take this. Can you sell the amount of houses you do, 125 plus houses every year, could you do that if you had to write all the marketing?
No, absolutely not.
Could you do that if you had to do all the inspections?
I don't think anybody could do that if they had to do inspections.
Can you do that if you had to deal with all the vendors to set up repairs?
Well, we absolutely know that's not the case because the year we brought on Vicky, I went from 66 transactions to 100 transactions just with that hire.
Just with somebody going to inspections and dealing with the contractors.
Well, I didn't go to inspections before that, but yeah.
She took over that for me. So could you do everything you do if you had to process all the paperwork?
Well, I've never processed paperwork.
Okay. Could you do that if you had to send out all the reminders and do all the database management?
Look,
all the tech?
People can't get past 30 transactions, in my personal opinion, if they have to do any of that stuff. The reality is that this is not a one-man job.
The person?
If you're doing it by yourself, you're not efficient.
Right.
But people are afraid to take their money out of their piggy bank and to literally spend that money or give up any of that percentage.
Or give up the control. Some of them are.
Some of it's control, some of it's, and I always say this, you got to spend money to make money. And sometimes it's just letting go.
To give better service.
So we're going to be, if we're being real here, okay? When it came to giving up that vendor thing, we all know, for me, it was super hard to let that go. Once I did, it changed my world. Every hire on this sheet has changed our world and allowed us to do better and be better for the
Now,
client.
here's where we come to the public service announcement problem that I'm seeing out there. What we're seeing is brand new agents, sometimes maybe have sold 3 or 4 houses, are advertising themselves as a team, as a group, as so-and-so and associates. They are going out there, and the reason is they are trying to make themselves appear bigger to be able to compete with the teams in marketing. And I am here to tell you, I see it every week, and I see every broker out there allowing it to happen. This is a problem. I've looked it up. There are DPOR regulations against it. If they don't have a business entity license in place, if they don't have the people on the team list, if they don't have that, they're not a team. They're not a group. They're not and associates. They're not and partners. They do not, if they don't have those people on their team, they're not a team.
Correct.
So that is a problem because as a consumer, you don't know that. You think you are getting somebody that can provide all these services and all of these systems, and they just can't do it. It's a single agent, sometimes sitting over there in their apartment, maybe over here across the street, sitting there doing everything they can do, and they cannot do it at the same level. Betsy, I always hear the comment, it's like, I'm amazed that you answer your phone all the time or that you return my calls so fast or that how you communicate with us. That happens because we have a team in place that allows her to do that.
Right.
I sit back, that's part of my job. My job is to look at this from the 10,000 foot level and say, hey, where do we have a bottleneck? Where can we improve our service? Where can we become more efficient with AI and technology? That's what I do. And I say, hey, we're going to change this. You know, I tell the team all the time, my job's to break things. You just got to know, I'm going to break things and make you build them back better. That's what I do. And so because we do that, we get better. And we use AI and we use the best technology. We don't have computers that are ever over 3 years old. I have a rotation process that every computer goes out because we want to be the most efficient and the fastest we are. I have a spreadsheet that tells me when it was built, when we got it, and we rotate them out. Every 3 years, we have the best technology. That's so we can compete. So every time I look and I see so-and-so group or so-and-so team, and here's the thing, predominantly they're with, and I'm not going to name them right here, but they are with 4 companies here in town, which are large companies. And the brokers allow them to do that, and they shouldn't be doing it because it is false advertising. It is a danger to the consumer because the consumer's expectations are then not met. And it hurts our industry to allow it to happen. That's the first point of my public service announcement. Now, I am going to go into the second point, and this one really got it. Yeah, what do you think a top producer is?
Somebody in the top 1%, maybe even the top 3.
Yeah, top 3, top 5, top 10 it becomes questionable. But I know. But here's what you got to say.
I would say top 10.
We have companies out there. We recently had one, and I try to handle things at the lowest level possible. Meaning, we had somebody reach out to us, looking out for us, because they saw somebody advertised that they were a top producer in Chesapeake, Virginia.
The broker owner of another company called me and said somebody is impersonating,
trying to ride off your coattails, and they
happen to have the same last name.
They happen to have
hair color,
red hair, same last name as Thompson, sitting here, and they said 2026 top producing realtor, Chesapeake, Virginia.
Which we know can't be true because that is me.
Well, I went and looked it up, and in 2026, they have sold one house in Chesapeake, Virginia for $230,000. Now, I thought, I'm going to be nice and maybe just call them up, and they didn't mean to say it this way, and I just, as a broker with 37 years experience in the business. I'm going to just call them up and nicely say, hey, I'm calling about this because somebody else brought it to my attention. I felt like I needed to have action.
Even people on this post that were from her company said, I think you've got this wrong. It's 2025. Right. But just to be for real, in 2025, she sold 7 houses, right? 7?
Something like that.
And 3 of them were in Chesapeake.
I don't know the numbers.
It doesn't matter.
So
it does matter.
Here's the thing. I picked up the phone. I called her up, said, hey, Alan Thompson, the agency. I want to call. I said, somebody sent me a copy of a Facebook post you made, and you claimed that you were the top producer for 23320, but you also claimed you were a top producer for Chesapeake. And I need to talk to you about that because I don't think it's right. You know what she did? She laughed at me. She said, if you want to talk about that, you can call my broker. And she hung up on me. So I tried to handle it just nicely and talk to her. Well, so I said, okay, let's find her broker. Well, it happens to be one of those companies that's a large company and they only have a few brokers, but I found the broker, called, left a message, never heard back from the broker. So now I get a point that I tried to handle with the agent. She hung up on me and told me to call her broker. So I wasn't going to elevate it to a broker. I was just going to let her deal with it. So then the broker never returned my call. So now I get to talk about it on our YouTube channel and go to thousands of people. And probably, depending on what happens after this, I might just file a DPOR complaint about false advertising because it's still out there. I checked this morning and say, hey, I got this agent claiming this, and I think it's wrong because even if I go to 2026, which it said, when I looked up her company, there were other people that sold more houses in Chesapeake year to date than her. So just doesn't make sense. But here's what I really come down to. Fluffing, hey, wonderful, great. Hey, I'm all about people getting recognition. But saying that you are the top producer for selling one house at $230,000, I don't think that's fair to the consumer to think that's the top producer they want to deal with. I think the consumer expects a different version of a top producer.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, 100%. I mean, yeah.
So we're going to keep talking about this, but we want to make sure that you
subscribe, like us, love us. Put your comments down here. What do you think a top producer is?
Tell us what you think a top producer is.
What do you expect somebody selling your house, or who do you want to work with as a buyer?
I can already promise somebody's going to say, Alan, why do you even bother? Why are you spending time on it? It's because the best way for evil to succeed in the world is for good people to do nothing. And I am here to tell you, I am tired of this industry.
And nobody would have said anything if she had just taken it down. But please don't. First of all, because I am the #1 agent in Chesapeake. And I don't appreciate somebody else saying that they're the #1 agent in Chesapeake. And when another broker calls me and says it bothers her that somebody would try and do that, it should bother me.
And, here's the thing. I personally think over the last 10 years, the industry has gone downhill. I think the concept of hire as many agents as you can, the brokers not holding their agents to a standard. If I were a broker and I saw this and I know it's wrong, I'm picking up the phone and calling my agent and telling them to take it down. And here we are in an industry that is highly competitive. Okay, this person, they don't compete with us. We're not doing this because we're worried about them taking our bit. Trust me, this is not about who we compete. We compete with ourselves.
I never even heard of her.
Yeah, and so here's the thing, is that this is not about competition. This is about somebody else is going to call her because they think she's the top producer in Chesapeake and get her to come in and list their house, and there is the potential that she will not know how to deal with what their situation is. And so I think there needs to be a certain amount of truth in advertising. How about everybody puts real numbers out there? I would love for that requirement. If you're going to say you're a top producer, where is that stat? Are you number so-and-so? You know, sometimes people post, every year there's a company in town. All the agents appreciate it because they pull the statistics from the MLS and they send them to the agents and say, hey, you're in the top 0.5%. You're in the top 1, top 3, top 5, top 10% of the business. Well, hey, we see all those going out there and I got that. But what I'm really here to tell you, those are real numbers and those are real stats.
They came straight from Rain.
They came straight from Rain, our MLS system. And so I'm all about straight numbers. I think the truest numbers either come from our MLS or they come from a company, national company called Real Trends. That's where they audit your records and audit the numbers. When you look at the local real estate association, they do audit and have real numbers. However, what you have to understand is that in our MLS, only about a third of the agents are actually in that association. So when you look at those numbers and they say, hey, the number one realtor in town does not make them the number one real estate agent in town. Just like they have their awards ceremony coming up in April or May, I don't even know. Sometime it's coming up and they're going to name the number one realtor. Well, I can tell you, Betsy sold more than them and is the number one agent for last year. But because we're not in the association, it is only a small parameter of who they guess. So here's where this irks me. And as a consumer, please, please, please look for proof. If somebody says they have a team, this flyer is in every one of our presentations, our buyer presentation, our seller. It shows who they are.
It shows what they do. And we go over it because I need my people to understand who everybody is, what their
function is, how they help the transaction, how we make this better for you because we have all these people. We're not a one-man show.
People, like all of my clients know every single solitary person on this
and so,
by the end so that they know who they're dealing with. And everybody can get, people
like,
it's even, not all about Betsy.
Even an agent that says they have a team and they have a third party, either virtual assistant or a third party local person that does transaction management, that's not a team. You can't pick up the phone and talk to that person about all kinds of details. Yeah. They are a paperwork person. That's not a team. They're not on them. They work for lots of different agents.
No, paying somebody a $400 transaction fee.
That is not a team. And that is not a group. That is still an individual agent. And the same thing when it comes to people's claims about production. Please ask for evidence, ask for proof. We can show you every deal we've done, every transaction we've done, every award we've won. We can show you all of those over and over and over. So for your best interest, unfortunately, our industry has a lot of people that don't have standards. Sometimes I'd like to say they don't have morals, but at the same time, we need you to be aware of this. Mm-hmm. So until next time,
it's Betsy
and Alan. If nobody puts a hit out on me, I got my camouflage on. See you soon.